Thanks for tuning in to the Unaffiliated Creators Podcast. I'm your host, kaeveryday. This is the indie artist safe place, so take off your shoes, get comfortable, and stay a while. Do us a favor and please rate the show. And if you have any feedback for us, please email us at unaffiliatedcreatives@gmail.com. The snippet you heard playing was a song titled Ibiza by indie artist D Money Martinez. Now that everybody has taken off their shoes and got comfortable, D Money, what you been up to?
Hey, man, I've been good, man. Just trying to work, remain positive, stay consistent. And I'm just dropping dope music, man. And I think that's what it's about.
Just dropping dope music. I like that. So I'm really feeling that song Ibiza, man. I like that vibe. So that's why I picked that song. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna use Ibiza, but we gonna get into that in a little bit. I got a question that's gonna kind of tie that in here in a little bit. But let me ask you this. So I saw a previous interview of yours where you was, talking to the host and you were saying that you might possibly change your stage name. With that being said, if you decided to change it, what would your new stage name be, and explain why?
I think my new stage name would be what my alias already is now, which is Larry Drip. I think the reason why I came up with that is because I wanted to drop the money off my name. And when I dropped Larry Drip 1 in 2019, I think the name just kind of found me in a sense. In 2019, I dropped Larry Drip 1, and the reason why I called it Larry Drip is because I'm from Boston, right? And in Boston, I wanted a name. I wanted something to resemble something iconic in the city, which was Larry Bird. So when I look at Larry Bird, his number was 33. I grew up in a house in Dorchester, 33 Lawn Street, right? And the day that I dropped my album just happens to be March 14, 2019. So if you add the third month of the year, 14 plus 19 is 33. So all of these things just started to add up to me. And then the drip was just what was going on at the time. Everything was drip this, drip that. What you got on is drip. What you saying is drip. How you move is drip. How you carry yourself is drip. So I just ended up hashtagging Larry Drip one day on Instagram, and then people just started calling me, yo, Larry Drip. So that's how things just organically happened. So that's what I would change my name to, Larry Drip. If I was to really, really go into my catalog, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, all that, I would change it to Larry Drip.
All right, I like that. So it took me a little while to figure out that you was from Boston. So I saw all these clips, man. You be doing a lot of moving around, man. You was all over the place.
Yeah.
But with that being said, have you ever experienced any racial issues being in the Boston area?
Me per se, and I always say this is interesting that you ask. I read the room. I'm never gonna be in a room where I'm not wanted. So if I read something funny, before anything happens to me, or I'm swivel like that. So I'm not gonna say that it's never happened, because racism can happen in a way that you don't even know it's happening, right? That's just what it is. But not like a white person calling me the N-word or like that type of stuff hasn't happened. I think more of that kind of stuff happens while I'm traveling. I never really experienced it in Boston.
All right. So I see that you took a picture in front of the Breakfast Club wall, and on the caption you posted, it said, speaking everything into existence. So is one of your music goals being a guest on the Breakfast Club radio show?
Yeah, I think that's one of the shows that, it's like being on $1 Million Worth of Game. It's like being on Drink Champs. You have these platforms that are very prominent in the hip hop game. It's like being on Top 10 XXL as a rookie artist, or a new artist at that. I think that's one of them stops that you definitely have to make, because it's just a stamp. It's just a stamp in hip hop culture. So of course I would love to I would love to go to Power 105 and sit with Charlamagne and Envy and whatever other guests that they. Unfortunately, we're not gonna have Angela Yee anymore there, but anyone that they have there, I would love to go up there and just chat with them.
Yeah, I would say being on those shows, it's like winning the Heisman, right? Or winning the MVP. I mean, it's letting everybody know you didn't arrive, right? You done made it.
That's what it feels like at this point. That's a fact.
All right. So let me ask you this. If it's not too personal, give us more things that you would want to speak into existence.
You know what? I would love to speak more about business models and having a plan. I feel like a lot of us know what we want to do, but we don't have a structured plan to actually get to what we want to do and how we want to do it. And that's what I've been learning over the course of the last year and a half. And it's funny that you say, even when you are an artist, you see me everywhere. You wasn't sure if I was even from Boston, seeing how much I move. And even that goes into how you conduct yourself in business. There's budgets, there's numbers, there's things that, you have to be aware of, especially in the music industry, because one day you can have a whole lot of money and the next day you could go broke chasing your dream. And with a business model and plan, and whatever business you're in, doesn't matter if it's music, arts, sports, you're a lawyer, everything requires numbers and a business model. And that's what I would manifest more as far as if I had the power to do that within everyone, I would just tell them to find them a real great or create a real great business model.
All right, so I know you haven't been on the Breakfast Club yet, but we already speaking that to existence, so it's going to come down the road. But I have noticed that you have been on several other radio shows and podcast shows. So,
yes.
So which show did you enjoy the most for whatever reason, and explain why?
You know what? I'm not sure. Bro, I'm going to be real. I feel very, very blessed to be in the position where people even want to sit down and talk to me and sit down and interview me. I think every opportunity is a great one. Speaking to you is a great one. Speaking to Saswan at Power 105 was great. Speaking to Drewski at Hot 97 was great. Speaking to Pup Dog at Jam 94.5 was great. CWTFB. There's so many podcasts and radio shows that I've done that I feel like every experience has been a great one. I don't kind of measure them by which one was the best or, because every journalist asks you a different question, and maybe even if it's the same question and they're asking you in a different way, and you might have a different answer, or you might add on to answers that you've said before. So I think everything is it's like a run-on sentence. It's like it's the greatest sentence in the world, but it's a run-on sentence. It's all of them are great. I don't really have a specific this one was the best one, because tomorrow I might be on Big Boy's Neighborhood. I might be on Sway's Universe. Who knows? So I mean, I can't answer that prematurely. So.
All right, so I definitely want to talk to you about this, and you actually challenged me in this area, and no other artist has ever done this to me before, but I'm glad you did it. So when I first reached out to you, and I do this with all the other artists that I bring on as well, I always ask them, hey, pick out whatever you feel is your best song and send it to me so I can play a snippet of it at the beginning of the podcast. And you hit me back and was like, man, I can't send you nothing because I feel that all of my songs are just as good as the other one, right? And I was like, oh, okay, so we're going to do that. So I was like, okay, so let me ask him this. So as an artist, you should feel that all of your songs are just as good as, as the next one. But with that being said, what song do you think your fans like the most? And explain why.
And that's that question right there is very, very interesting, because there's a wide range, of music that I make. And it's hip hop, it's international music, it's Afro beats, it's Latin music, and my streams fluctuate in just from being able to do all of that, you know. And if we gotta break it down, bro. We gotta ask what genre of music, because if you ask me about hip hop, I'm gonna tell you what is the song that my hip hop fans like the most. If it's about Afro beats, I can tell you which song was streamed the most on my Afro beats. You know, if it's, you know, it's not just one song, and it's because it's not just one genre.
Gotcha.
That's why I answered that, you know, the way I answered to you, because it was just like, all right, I have a catalog. You're probably gonna have to figure out, because I just make music, right? And that's how I view it, bro. I just make music, and it doesn't have a label. It's like, if I put it out, I just put it out to the world. I don't like labeling myself. I don't like labeling music. And I know a lot of people be like, you got to stick to one thing. You got to stick to one thing and be great at one thing. And it's just like, well, God gave me the ability to be great at a lot of things. And it's not the norm. Usually when people find one great thing to do, they stick to that one great thing. Like, let's say basketball. If you're a facilitator, you're a great assistant. Carmelo Anthony was a great scorer. That's what he did great. Kevin Garnett was the greatest defensive player for me ever. That's what he did great. Marcus Smart, he's the heart and soul of the team forever. That's what he did great. But for me, it's like, I just make music great. But if you ask me, I'm gonna answer it. I think this feels like there's different time periods too. For me, one big record for me was All the Smoke. So when I dropped All the Smoke, it was at a time period where I was very, very mad and angry. But that turned into something positive, right? So that one had a different effect on people, because it was just like something that folks didn't see from me before. And obviously Ibiza, because Ibiza, you know, took me over the world. I'm on TV, you know, the recognition, the streaming. So I can say that song, is one of them songs that fans really, really gravitate to. And another thing is this, right? Certain songs might not be my favorite, or it might not be the fans' favorite, right? But because we invest into our music, it takes our music into a whole nother level, right? So can I really say in this day and age that somebody really likes a song, or just somebody really heard it so many times?
It's a good point.
You know, so I just put the music out and hope for the best, because in this music industry, bro, it's very, very, every day something changes. Every day you have to adapt, and you have to stay current, because if you don't, you get left behind. It's like, if you have a test in the morning, you ain't studying, everybody else in your class studied, you gonna flunk the test. You got to stay current, you got to stay polished, and you have to stay ready.
All right. Take a few minutes to talk to us about the song titled Scream featuring Fabulous, and share with us how that collab came about.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of stuff in the music industry that we have yet to realize that is important. Like, that record came about from a good friend of mine from the state of Rhode Island. And he put it together. I ended up having somebody meet with Fab. And it's so crazy how I put it out. I put it out to get a reaction, right? And these are certain things that, you know, artists should do. I feel if you want to get a reaction from your fans, sometimes you got to tease people. And that's pretty much what I did with that record, to be 100% honest. Yes, it's a legit record, but it needs to be cleared, right? And that's another form of business within the music industry. We could put records out, but do you want music that is going to come here today and leave tomorrow? Or do you want music that's going to, like house music? House music, think about it real quick. I want to make house music. I want to make music that buys me houses. So that record was one of them records that I feel is going to be a huge record. I just want the business side aspect of it to be cleared, so that everyone is getting what they're getting. But that record came about. I got the verse from Fab. I ended up just doing the song around Fab's verse, and I think that's why he kind of liked it the most. Where it was just like, you know what, I built a complete song around an idea that he had. I got the record, I got the files from it, and I just constructed my own song around it, and then had somebody. I've met Fab millions of times too. Like, it's not just something that's just random. Like, shout out to the family. You know what I'm saying? So I've been around them plenty of times, and then finally got a chance to work. Now I've been in the music industry since I was like 14 years old, bro. I've been in the music industry for 16 years. Haven't done anything else. So as far as relationships, they are there. It's just sometimes it's really, really tough when other artists are busy trying to line up. Even doing a music video sometimes could be tough. So that's another thing that I want to make sure of. Like, if I really release the record, I want to be able to have the budget. I want to be able to shoot the music video. I want to take it to radio. I want to really have Fab support the record, and all of that takes time. So I gave the fans a little teaser, and I'm glad you brought that up. But that record is definitely coming out soon.
All right, the Jane was hot. I was like, I gotta ask him this question. So let me ask you this. So are there any other artists that you would like to collab with?
Absolutely. I would love to collab with Durk, Lil Durk. I think he's a good I think he's a great artist. I love his music. I would love to collab with Thug, just because of, I've been around Thug, I've been around YSL, Free YSL, the whole family. This is just an unfortunate situation. But I would love to work with Thug. I would love to work with who else is out here hot? It's not really too many people that I haven't worked with, to be honest, because I write and produce music for a lot of people. So if I produce a record for someone or write a record for someone and they kind of put somebody on the record, it's like me working with them as well. So I don't work with everybody, as far as Gucci Mane, Gotti, Yo Gotti, Fat Trail, Scarface, Legend, Cassidy, another legend. Recently, I just did for my album, I did a record with Red Cafe. I kind of just stick into my generation. Like Durk, I came upon Durk, but everybody, as far as all the new like the new wave of folks, like, yeah, I want to tap in, but I feel like a lot of people tap into the new wave because they're trying to prove a point. Like, they want to be hot. Like, I don't have the urge to want to be hot. I just want to make great music. Like, even when you do certain things for other purposes, the actual real reason you're doing it never stands out. So I want to work with artists that genuinely want to work with me. I think I'm past the stage of what do you call it? Like, fantasizing of who I would want to work with. Like, if I want to work with somebody, I'm gonna go get Drake. Like, let's go get Drake. If I really want to work with somebody, right? Let's go get him. Then we go number one for real. Like, that's where my mindset is at. But records have to happen organically for me for it to happen. But yeah, Drake, Durk, Thug, and these are people that I've been around. Like, I've been around Durk, I've been around Thug, but it's never like creating a record with somebody is very, very, especially when I'm not saying that I'm the biggest artist or even the littlest artist, but people like to work with people that are also known as well, to be in the same caliber. So there's different things that we experience in that aspect. But yeah, those will probably be the three: Drake, Thug, and Durk.
All right, so of course you just went to some of the biggest names in the game right now, but I like that, though. I like that.
Facts.
So let me ask you this. So do you feel that being from Boston has influenced your music in any way?
No. Being from Boston has not influenced me musically.
Like, I guess I'm saying, like, is there a certain sound? Like, if you were somewhere else, do you think your music would sound different? Or do you think because you're from Boston that your music sounds a certain way? Or it don't matter where you're at, you think your music would just sound the same no matter where you're at?
I believe that exactly. I believe that because, to be honest, all the artists that I just mentioned to you, I've worked with out of Boston, and they feel like it's something that they would rock to. You know what I'm saying? So I know I could be anywhere in the world and my music's going to be my music. I think my music is morely influenced by my background. Like, not Boston per se, but my Hispanic background. Like, I'm from Honduras. You know, I play 10 instruments. My family's well deep into the culture, and we have a very, very rich culture with, you know, sort of like with music and food and, you know, our dances. I'm very, very caught into my, what you would say, Garifuna culture. So, you know, my Afro descendants come from St. Vincent, so we're Caribbean, but we was obviously colonized by the Europeans or the Spaniards. It's one of them. One of them. I gotta check into that. But, and then, you know, my ancestors were slaves brought in from, you know, the ancestry into Central America, and that's how we created, you know, all the Central American countries. And I think I'm more inspired by where my family come from, not from where I was born. Where I was born is like mostly my friends, you know, just, you know, coming up in the neighborhood, but nothing musically, because nobody was around me. I had talented friends, but no one was as driven as me within the music industry or in my surroundings, other than my family. But that pretty much is what inspired me.
All right. So
for the sound and everything, my sound musically comes from me being able to produce Latin music, jazz music, classical music. And I don't think any of that has anything to do with Boston per se.
All right. So I'm glad that you're sitting down. So I hate to put you on the hot seat, but try to give me your top 5 rappers from Boston, and you can put them in any order.
Dylan. My top 5 rappers.
Oh, that was funny.
All right. This is going to be my real list. My top 5 rappers, and this has nothing to do with artistry. This has everything to do with rap. Number 1, and it's no order. I'm not saying he's number 1.
You don't got to put him in no order.
Superstar LT. That's somebody that I would say taught me a lot of the hip hop music game and actually took the patience to teach me how to rap. But I know that guy could rap, like, for real. He could rap his ass off. I've seen it. I've seen him compose 10 songs in one night. Non-stop lyrics, just off the dome. He's him, and another guy named Perf is probably one of the reasons why I don't write. Like, I don't pen. Like, everything comes from the head. So Superstar LT, Prano, I would say Last Days. Superstar, Prano, Last Days. Who else? Ease Dollars, RIP Ease Dollars. And as far as rap. Ease, Superstar, Prano, Last Days, and I'd say, who's my 5th? This is interesting. How about if it was a female? Rap. And I worked with a lot of people, goddamn. Eddie Fish, Real Niggas No One was a classic, and 2. So I would say Eddie Fish. So Superstar, Eddie Fish, Prano, Last Days, and Ease Dollars. Those are my 5.
All right, so you probably gonna laugh on my list because I wasn't that really, I'm gonna be honest with you, I wasn't really that familiar with a lot of rappers from Boston, so please don't laugh on my list. So this is just 5 that I came up with. So the dude Mills, he from Boston, right? You know who I'm talking about? Mills. The dude that be running around with Jadakiss, ain't he from Boston?
Millies.
Oh, I said his name, Millies. Okay, so I had him.
Millies, yeah.
Him, Marky Mark. I know you remember.
Okay.
Marky Mark, Benzino, he from Boston,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, he from Boston.
And I couldn't even come up with 5, so I put you in there. So you in my top 5 rappers from Boston, man.
Yeah, I mean, there'd be some. I mean, Millie's definitely loves the city of Boston. He loves his city of Cambridge. I think Millie's is a great look for the whole state of Massachusetts, not just Boston. Even though he does open doors for Boston artists, there's also a little like, when we go out of town, a lot of people wouldn't know where Cambridge, Massachusetts is, so it's a lot easier to say Cambridge. But I think even when he says Boston, it helps artists like me. It helps artists like people who are really, really from the city and the town. And I think like that's just a mentality thing too, where let's say, for instance, a kid like me who was really, really born in Boston, really got into fights in Boston, really had to take the bus in Boston, really had to walk around in different hoods in Boston. It's really, really tough. And there's no hate or anything, but it's really, really tough to hear somebody say Boston when in the perfect world, or in a strange way of putting it, is like you putting work in Boston. Like, what work you putting in Boston? Like, that's how a Boston person will perceive it. Like, if you from Queens and you trying to say you repping the Bronx, and somebody from the Bronx say, yo, you ain't putting no work in the Bronx. You're not even from here type. So I think a lot of people has that mentality, but it takes a strong-minded person to understand why that could be beneficial, especially an artist like Millie's. Like, Millie's is not no small. He's huge, man. He's a big artist. And I seen this come up, man. I had a chance to work with Millie's. Very humble guy. Even when I hit him up to even do a verse for me, it was love from the jump. So I can appreciate an artist like Millie's, and I'm glad that you brought him up because he's a staple. You know what I'm saying? And from the work that he's done, Benzino as well. Benzino went viral a couple of days ago. We put on a show in Boston, Massachusetts, and he was kind of like putting on independent artists, and it was a little video where narrative got spun, where people were saying that the person who didn't get a chance to perform or didn't want to perform was pressing him for his money back. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see that, but you should look up that video. And that I just want to say that when you have a legend like that, the one thing that you don't want to do, you always pay respect to the people who paved the way. Benzino paved the way for a lot of Massachusetts artists. Boston, like, for real. Seeing something like that kind of put me in a like weird space, because it's just like, no matter what you hear about Benzino, no matter what dumb stuff he's did on TV or whatever the case may be, he still has, not only in Boston, but the Source, just hip hop in general. The Source Awards, Source magazines. He's did his daughters, Coyle Ray, really from the city. Even though she was raised in Jersey, she's really from the city. You know what I'm saying? Roxbury. She got a lot of family in Roxbury. So we got to be careful on how we treat our pioneers of this game, man. And I'm glad that you named him as well. I'm glad that you named me, man. I've been putting in work for a long time, and I've been around pretty much everybody that you name. I've been around, man. They kind of like familiar with me. I'm familiar with them. I've just always been in my own kind of wave, man. I've never been the one that actually have to. Not never had to, but I just like standing on my own too, in my own corner. I don't want to go standing next to the guy. I am the guy.
I like that. So the premise of this podcast is independent artists learning from other independent artists. So I couldn't let you get out of here without asking you this question. So what mistakes, if any, have you made so far in your music career that other people can learn from?
Save your money. That's the number one thing. There ain't no pension in rap music. There's no pension in music. I'm not sure there is, unless, you work for a very, very big label and, you getting your 401k, or you've sold so many records that your record is popping and you're going to see residual income for the rest of your life. But I feel, the music industry is very, very limited. You have a window and you want to capitalize within that window. It's like your prime years in the NBA. Chris Paul right now is 38, and there's still an argument on whether he should start or not on the championship team. And I feel like he's more useful coming off the bench, giving you 10 and 5 off the bench with the second unit. Sometimes you have a window and you have to maximize your full potential within that window, right? And unfortunately, in sports, because you're putting your body through so much, you only have a certain amount of window. And in the music industry, the window is because music is changing and evolving. Back in the day, back in the day, a generation used to be 10 years. A generation now is about 2-3 years. Like, generations are changing in 2 to 3 years now. It's no longer 10, 15 years. Generations are moving up very, very fast. So, try to capitalize as much as you can. Try to capitalize as much as you can on that window. And that's pretty much it. That's what I would suggest. Save your money, take as much as you can, and go from there. Save it.
All right. So before we get out of here, take a few minutes and tell the audience where they can find you online.
Well, right now, you can find me on Spotify, D Money Martinez. You can find me on YouTube. I'm very active on my YouTube, trying to get my subscribers up, D Money Martinez. You can find me on Instagram, D Money Martinez. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, everything on D Money Martinez. But most importantly, you can find me on every streaming platform. There is stream. And the reason why I say that is not because, artists barely make money on streaming, but the reason why I say stream, because no matter what, whether we make the money or not, our music is getting recognized. And through that recognition, we're able to tour. And when we tour, that's when we're able to reap the benefits of the funds, and hopefully we can take care of our family. So stream. Let's get this music out there. It's very, very good music. And that's what I stand for. I stand for making or bringing back real music. And what I mean by real is structured, mixed and mastered, great writing abilities, knowing what you're saying, how you're saying it, to what specific, like, genres of people now. Because now we have there's male, female. And I'm not big into politics, but you have to cater to every type of human being there is, and person that there is now. So,
all right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking time to come on the podcast. I'm gonna be, checking out what you got going on in the future, man. Keep up the good work, keep grinding, and I'll be in touch.
Definitely. Larry Drip 3 is definitely dropping this year. I have, obviously, you mentioned a few features within Fab, Fat Trail, Red Cafe, Troy Ave. Who else is on the album? ATM Moose is on the album. He's from the Bronx. I kept this album really I kept it very, very, like, my relationships within the music industry. Like, I tapped back into the relationships that I had and made some great music. So y'all look out for that Larry Drip 3 dropping soon.
All right, man. Well, you take it easy now.
My God, man, I appreciate you for having me on the pod, man, and send me all the information when all this drop. I want to support your brand the same way you support my brand, man. I'll support anything that you're doing, anything that you drop. I'll give you a share, repost, a comment, a like, man. And that's what it's about. We gotta help each other to move forward.